We're moving vast quantities of liquids around the world using vessels. In this episode, we're going to look at how we go about chartering those vessels. Hi, I'm Richard Watts, founder of HR Maritime. Welcome back to Commodity Brief. In this episode, we're going to continue this series where we're looking at the fundamentals of commodity trading. And so we're going to be looking at tanker chartering. Basically, we move large quantities of liquid products around the world, and we use different types of vessels to move those. We use tankers to move those around, to move liquid, and also to move gas. So we have gas carriers as well. So basically, when we're looking at this subject, it's important to say, why are we actually chartering? We're chartering because we need to have a contractual relationship between the charterer, often the owner of the cargo, and the ship owner. And so we will go out and we will approach the market and we will charter a vessel. So in terms of chartering, we're looking at the different parties who are involved. First of all, there is a charterer, there is a ship owner, and there will nearly always be a ship broker. Now, in tanker chartering, there is normally one ship broker in between the owner and the charterer, and they will be doing a lot of the work during the chartering process. So how do we actually go about chartering? Well, we have a lot of cargoes moving around the world. We might have bought a cargo in one port, sold it in another port, and so we need to go out and actually charter a vessel to use to transport these goods around, fulfill our contractual obligations. And so we go through a number of stages. We'll start off at the beginning and we'll say, what is the commodity I need to move around? What kind of liquid? What type of gas? Is it a clean product? Is it a dirty product? So that I know what type of vessel I'm looking for. I look at all of my requirements. What do I actually need? Once I've figured out what I need, then I will approach my broker. Now, depending on the size of the company, depending on how many vessels I charter on a weekly basis, I might only have one broker that I deal with very, very regularly and I know very well, and we have a lot of trust in between us. Or if I charter a lot of vessels on a regular basis, then I might have a panel of brokers. And so these are different brokers that I use on a regular basis in order for me to have more access to the market. So those brokers are then going to go and see what vessels are available. They're going to contact a lot of the different ship owners that they know on the market, and they are going to go through their databases to see the available vessels, and they're going to come back with some of the best candidates. And so basically we're going to cut out a lot of the vessels which are too big. They have the last cargo doesn't work because it would contaminate our future cargo. Or maybe there's a problem with the flag, maybe the class, maybe the P&I. There are multiple reasons why we wouldn't accept a vessel. And then we come down to what we consider to be the best choice. This is not the cheapest. This is not the best vessel on the market. This is the best balance between the cost and the quality of the vessel itself. So then we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to make a firm offer to the ship owner, and we're going to detail to the ship owner all the different terms of the contract that we are willing to be linked. And so basically we'll go through saying, I want your vessel to arrive within these dates. I want this load port. I want this discharge port or range of discharging ports. And then we go on and say, this is the quantity I'm going to load it. This is the actual quality of goods. These are any other requirements that I might have. And these are the terms that I would like to use. And then we have some back and forth, some negotiations with the owner. And so they will come back with their counteroffer. We'll come back with ours. Obviously, if they accept our first offer, we've probably done something wrong. We've probably offered too high. And then we'll go back and forth, depending on the market. The owner might have more power if there are very few vessels available, or if there are a lot of vessels available, then we as the charterer might have more power. But this is just purely supply and demand. So we go back and forth until we come to an agreement on all the different points. It's at this point that we put the vessel on subs. This is short for subject to. So this is often subject to the shipper's approval, subject to the buyer's approval, and many other things. But this is essentially a period of time that the charterer has to decide whether to take the vessel or not. Essentially, they have this option. At this time, they will also be having the vessel accepted under their insurance policy with the loading terminal, with the discharging terminal, and making sure that there will not be any issues with the vessel. And this period of time can be anything from a couple of minutes, an hour, up to a couple of days, depending on the market. And by the end of that period of time, the charterer needs to come back and say, we confirm the fixture. They will say, we lift the subjects on this vessel. At that point, they have a fully binding, legally binding contract. And so basically, those are the stages involved. At the end of all that, you'll have some documentation. In the tanker market, you have what is called a recap, and that's basically a recap of all the terms that have been agreed. We don't tend to then go to the step of issuing a charter party, but it can be issued if we need it for any kind of legal reason. And we make sure that we go through step by step. Then we get on to what is called post-fixture, which is a different subject, which is essentially the operation of the vessel through the chain. Now, chartering has been this same way for many, many, many years. If we're looking at oil chartering, oil tankers first came in about 1780s, but they have developed an awful lot since then, and we have many different types of oil tankers. Chartering has not changed very much in an awful long time. The idea is still to have this direct contact through a broker between the ship owner and the charterer and to negotiate the terms. But we're seeing more and more as we go along, more online solutions, basic solutions which are proposing to either replace the broker or to assist them and to make their job easier, to reduce the manpower that's needed. And so these are a couple of the systems which are available on the market, which are trying to make inroads. Some are being more productive than others. There are also some of the brokers which are putting in place platforms for ship owners to swap vessels in case of need. And so there are many, many different areas you can look at. There's also a form of chartering called Worldscale, which is a way of fixing the rates and agreeing to rates. Again, that's a complete other story. And so that essentially brings us to the end of tanker chartering, a subject that we could spend a lot more time on, but we don't have the time today. And on that note, we bring it to the end of this episode of Commodity Brief. Please join us again for future episodes. Thank you.